Let's talk 2026 recruiting.
You are Locked On Louisville, your daily podcast on the Louisville Cardinals. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Card Nation, what's going on, everyone? Welcome into this Wednesday edition of the Locked On Louisville podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Pence. This is my fifth year covering the University of Louisville, third year hosting this show, and I want to take the time to personally thank you all for making us your first listen of the day. Just a reminder, the show is free and available on all streaming services 5 days a week, your team every day. Now, this episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can get $250 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. All you have to do, visit FanDuel.com to get started. Today's show is all about discussing 2026 basketball recruiting. I'm going to identify 6 prospects that I believe Pat Kelsey and the Louisville Cardinals should prioritize. Tyran Stokes, Tay Kenny, Jordan Smith, and many more. It is a pretty interesting show today. It is my birthday, by the way. I turn 27 today, and we're sort of in the midst of waiting for some news on multiple fronts. For men's basketball and for football, we're waiting to see if/when Kason Pryor announces his return, and any roster news. We're waiting to see what happens with the football team in the spring portal window. So I figured it was a good time to start talking about 2026 recruiting because, well, Pat Kelsey has shown that he can recruit the high school ranks well. Got the commitment from Michael Brown Jr. And I think that the 2026 class is one where Kelsey is going to swing for the fences. He has had ample time to create some of those relationships, himself and his staff included. And the Cardinals are involved with various elite 2026 prospects. We're getting closer and closer to the AAU circuit. And before you know it, we'll be discussing this class as the, next senior class. So I think that it would be a good idea to identify some of the players Louisville is going after, but the players that I feel like the Cardinals should prioritize. I'm not suggesting that I'm smarter than Pat Kelsey and the coaching staff. This is just from my point of view. And my point of view is that it starts with making Tyran Stokes your top priority. That should surprise absolutely no one. The number one prospect in the 2026 class is a native of the city of Louisville, moved away when he was a little bit younger, but still from the 502, has gone to a couple various high schools. He is playing out west for Notre Dame High School out in Sherman Oaks, California, but pretty clear that Kelsey and company are doing their best to prioritize Stokes. Stokes has mentioned it multiple times. He is on an official visit to Kansas at the moment, which I think is pretty interesting. I'm hoping that it sort of stays in that Adidas realm. He does play on the Adidas circuit, and Stokes is a dang good player. Let's just put it that way. 6'7", 6'8", coming in at about 245 pounds, point forward, 3-level scorer with defensive upside. Is he a number one scoring option at the college level? I do believe so. And I think that he is a guy that you can run your offense through. Not to mention the optics point of this, where you're saying that the number one player in the country that is from your backyard ends up going to your school. I think that is a huge optics boost. Landing the top prospect is something that Louisville has not done in my lifetime. So it would be nice to see that. At the moment, you have to wonder, how much is he going to want NIL-wise compared to, let's say, AJ Devanza going to BYU, reclassifying from 2026 to 2025, and ends up signing with BYU. I know that there's that rumored $7 million number out there. I don't know if that's true or not. I think that there are a ton of smoke screens. I think that there are a ton of misleading numbers thrown out there. it's going to cost a good amount, as it should. At this point, there are no regulations on NIL, and top prospects are making more and more money. So if the market becomes more inflated, that could benefit Stokes and hurt the teams that are going after him. I do think that with him being on the Adidas circuit, if there was ever a recruit for Adidas to help the University of Louisville with, well, it is or should be Tyran Stokes. He is the player that you wait to hear what he decides to do. Because even if you feel like there's a player out there that might be better, I feel like from an optics standpoint, you have to, at the very least, remain involved in this recruitment and be a key option up until the end. And even then, it depends on where he goes. That will dictate how much Louisville fans crash out and just completely lose their minds. So, I mean, this is a very key recruitment. We knew that it was going to be like this, right? This was something that the stage was being set for the past couple of years. Stokes has been a prominent recruit for the past couple of seasons, playing at some key academies like Prolific Prep and playing really well. He's been a top 3 player in the class for the past, 4 years now? Elite level guy. Elite. No inside information here, but it would not surprise me if Louisville has sort of like a rainy day fund, or sort of that fund that they have off to the side. It's like the Tyran Stokes sweepstakes. And they've been building up money for this exact recruitment, to where not only can you bring Stokes in, but you can also bring in more talent around him. Because what you don't want to do is you don't want to end up like Oklahoma, where they got Trey Young, and then around him, it's just kind of above average to mid players. And Oklahoma sneaks into the tournament. They shouldn't have made the tournament, but they did because they had Trey Young, and they fizzled out pretty quickly. Like, even though you want to get Stokes, you also want to make sure that he has a team around him that can compete for a national championship, because that's what's going to matter the most here at Louisville. So I think that when you talk about 2026 recruits, and yes, I do think that Tyran will remain in the 2026 class. I don't think he's going to reclassify. Each opportunity that he's had to discuss it, he has shot down that idea and has been adamant on remaining in the class. I know that he's not going to play AAU ball coming up this year, according to Zag's blog, whether that's because of injury, whether it's because of, maybe looking at reclassing options. I don't know. But reclassifying is such a tricky subject, because you're not reclassifying until all of a sudden you are. It's not something you really can predict all that well. So if he reclassifies, we have a whole different conversation. I think it's beneficial for the Cardinals if he stays in the 2026 class. However, another prospect that has Kentucky ties, played some of his basketball in Kentucky and then left the state, is Tay Kenny. Played at Newport High School up around the Cincinnati area, and then transferred over to Overtime Elite. This past season averaged 20 points a game, 5 rebounds, and 4 assists per contest. 6'1", 185 pounds. He's currently ranked, according to the 24/7 Sports Composite, as a 5-star, 17th best player in the country, 4th best point guard, and 2nd best player in the state of Georgia. Now, according to Jamie Shaw, it seems like Kentucky, Purdue, and Louisville are the 3 most active teams in this recruitment. He has made multiple visits to Louisville's campus. Kind of looking at that timeline, Kentucky got the most recent one in early February. He took an official visit to Purdue in January, named a top 15 in 2024, and just, of course, racked up a ton of offers all throughout the 2024 calendar year. Tay Kenny, I actually got to announce a couple of his games when he was a sophomore, playing in the King of the Bluegrass Holiday Invitational out at Fairdale High School, and you can just tell he's different. He is an incredible guard. can score anywhere in the half court. It's so difficult to check him 1v1 because he has tight handles, is extremely shifty, limitless range, and just gets to the rim at will. I watched him just completely, surgically destroy teams in the King of the Bluegrass, and you're playing some pretty good competition, the best that the state has to offer, and even some of the top schools nationally. So this is a situation where I think that it could very well end up a Louisville versus Kentucky battle. Now, I'm not sure who he grew up a fan of, whether he was a fan of Kentucky or Louisville. Usually a player that's not from the 502 or the surrounding area is more likely a fan of the team down I-64 than it is the hometown Louisville Cardinals. But I do think that Louisville does have a good recruiting advantage here. Number one, you saw what Chucky Hepburn did this past season. He went from being a pretty good starter at Wisconsin to one of the best point guards in the country with under 1 year of Pat Kelsey. And now you have Michael Brown Jr., who could sort of be like the vision for Kenny and other point guards that Kelsey's recruiting. Is like, okay, look at what Mikel's doing. This is the vision that I have for you, and this is how we can get you to the next level. So although they aren't technically local recruits anymore, I feel like when it comes to prioritizing certain players in this class, Tyran Stokes and Tay Kenny have to be at the forefront of the list. But there are some elite guards that the Cardinals are involved with, and they have been recruiting, and guards that I think that if they were to commit to Louisville could be complete game changers. We'll discuss two other five-star prospects that Louisville is recruiting when we come back on this Wednesday edition of the Locked On Louisville podcast. Cardinal fans, at this time, I want to take the time to tell you about our friends over at Game Time. The NBA playoffs are almost here. FanDuel is giving new customers an incredible way to get in on the action. Right now, when you join FanDuel and place your first $5 bet, you'll get $250 in bonus bets if that bet wins. For me, I love how FanDuel makes betting so easy, whether it's picking my Houston Rockets or diving into player props for guys like Jalen Green, Alperen Şengün, Tari Eason, Jabari Smith, Amin Thompson, and many more. Don't miss out. Head to FanDuel.com and claim your $250 in bonus bets today. I want to take the time again to thank you all for making us your first listen of the day. Just a reminder that the show is free and available on all streaming services, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, 5 days a week, covering your team every day. We have identified two. Let's discuss two more recruits that I feel like the Louisville Cardinals should prioritize in the 2026 recruiting class. We begin with a player that has made an official visit to the Cardinals program back in October. That is five-star combo guard, well, actually shooting guard technically, Jordan Smith. Jordan Smith is a top 10 prospect according to 24/7 Sports. Precisely, he is the number 4 prospect according to the 24/7 Sports composite ranking, the second best shooting guard, and the number 1 player in the state of Virginia from Fairfax County. Plays at Paul VI Catholic High School, which is the school that former Louisville player and former McDonald's All-American VJ King played at many years ago. Wow, it's wild that we're considering that many years ago now, almost a full decade ago. That's, man, time is flying. But Jordan Smith made an official visit to the Cardinals program back on October 25th. He then took an official visit to Duke on November 11th. This is going to be a recruitment that is going to be challenging to win, because you would imagine that Duke is going to be at the very forefront of this recruitment, and usually the Blue Devils get who they want, and we've seen multiple recruitments that Louisville has gone up against John Shire's program, and they have not won. I don't think any of those recruitments at the moment, but maybe they're bound to win one. I do wonder with Smith, 6'2" is what he's listed at, 6'2", 6'3", as a shooting guard for the NBA level. That's sort of undersized for that position. So I wonder if there's going to be a concerted effort to try to get him to be more of a combo guard and play that one, which I do believe that he can do. I'm just not so sure if he's a full-time point guard, but he has the skill set at 6'2", 6'3", 200 pounds, just a really good two-way player, really good defender, 3-level scorer, just really, really strong, and is able to get downhill and finish through contact. The athleticism is there too. Really solid. Maybe one of, if not the best overall all-around player in the class. Doesn't really have a true weakness. I want to see more of him being an elite level shooter, which there's nothing wrong with his shot. It's just a matter of getting those numbers up. And I'm not sure what the numbers looked like as a junior for Jordan Smith, where he averaged 18.9 points a game, 6.4 rebounds a contest, and 4 assists per game too. So affecting the game in multiple ways. I think that he can transition over and play that one, and not just have to be the full-time two. And then in positionless basketball, you can never have too many ball handlers. So I could see him playing that Terrence Edwards level role, being the point guard when you need. Maybe he's not the full-time primary ball handler, but I do think that he operates well, mainly with the ball in his hands, but has shown the ability to play off ball too. So Jordan Smith is, if you're ranking them, for me, it's Tyran Stokes 1, Tay Kenny number 2, Jordan Smith 3A. Because 3B for me is Deron Rippey Jr. And there was a report released by Jamie Shaw, recruiting analyst, just, I think, earlier on Tuesday, stating that Louisville, North Carolina, and Rutgers are making the most progress recruiting the 5-star guard. Rippey is 6'2", 175 pounds, ranked as the 19th best player in the 24/7 Sports Composite, 5th best point guard, number 1 player in the state of New Jersey, where he won the Gatorade Player of the Year. Look, I'm not sure that there are 18 better players in this class than him. He visited Louisville in the season. He plays on the Adidas 3 SSB circuit. So there's a lot of things that make sense here. And to sort of make matters more interesting is that I've been told, now I'm not sure that this is like just private knowledge. I think that many people have sort of alluded to this. There is a connection with Rippey's family and Russ Smith's family. So maybe the former Louisville Cardinal All-American can help his former college team out and help them land an elite level guy. When you watch Rippey play, the first thing that stands out is just the pure athleticism, extreme bounce, extreme quickness, gets to the rim with force, and high flyer. But don't let that fool you, because that's not all of his offense. Like, I believe in the facilitating upside. I think that he has the potential to be an elite point guard and passer at the college level, but just his ability to create his own offense. We talk about the skills that, in my opinion, are the most valuable for players looking to get drafted high in the NBA. It's how well you can create your own offense. Can you create your own shot off the dribble? Can you create for your teammates? And what I watched from Deron Rippey Jr., the answer to all of those questions is a resounding yes. I do believe so. And what better way for Pat Kelsey to start off the 2026 class than with a complete explosive point guard? Because I think that this is where, Louisville needs to swing for the fences. Like, this is a real guard-heavy, wing-heavy draft recruiting class. Like, there are some quality big men, but at the moment, it's about getting an elite level guard, getting multiple elite level guard wing players in this class. And that's why we've talked about 4 at the moment. I mean, Tyran Stokes is a 3. Positionless basketball. He's going to have the ball in his hands a lot. But what would excite me the most regarding this recruiting class is if the Cardinals were able to go out and get Stokes, and then you get one of these 3 guards that we've talked about. If you can go out and get a Tay Kenny or a Jordan Smith or a Deron Rippey Jr., I mean, that's an incredible class. I mean, you're making splash level moves, getting closer to competing for a national championship and swinging for the fences and hitting that home run ball over the wall out in left field. But there are some wings slash stretch fours slash big men that I do think the Cardinals should prioritize as well. One elite level guy, and then one that hasn't really been talked about a ton, but you're going to be talking about him coming up here in the next couple of months. We'll discuss who those players are coming up on the final segment of this Wednesday edition of the Locked On Louisville podcast. As I mentioned a couple times on the show, one of my favorite mantras that I like to repeat for the Locked On Louisville podcast is hurry up and wait. And that really applies to how we are going to proceed over the next week or so in terms of content, because we're waiting to see, well, when's Case and Pryor going to announce? The clock is ticking there. When is Louisville going to finalize their basketball roster? Are any more football players going to enter the portal? Who are the Cardinals going to bring in on a visit with the spring portal window opening up officially today and closing on April 25th? So less than 2 weeks. So I would love to tell you what we're going to talk about Thursday and Friday, but the truth is we're just kind of waiting and seeing. So if you all have any topics that you want specifically covered, please drop them in the comment section below. Final segment that we are identifying 6 players in the 2026 class that I think Louisville needs to prioritize. We are discussing the final 2. The first of the 2 is Christian Collins, the number 5 best player in the country, according to the 24/7 Sports Composite. Number 1 power forward and number 3 player in the state of California, plays for St. John Bosco in Bellflower, California, where Pierce Clarkson, Aaron Williams, and the Cali to the Ville guys came from. 6'8", 200 pounds. Now, I know what you're probably saying. Okay, Dalton, congratulations. You keep naming top 10 players. I'm naming players that I feel like would be a complete fit for Pat Kelsey's system. And Christian Collins, talk about potential. He might have the highest upside of anyone in the class. Unranked to top 5 prospect, has jump out of the gym athleticism, explosive athlete that gets to the rim with tenacity, can finish through contact, high flyer. I really want to see what the vertical tests out as coming up in the next couple months. I want to see how he plays on the AAU circuit. This past year, he averaged 13.6 points a game, 9.7 rebounds, and 1.2 steals. I think that the three-point shot, although continually improving, could be something that it takes a while to come around, but when it does, I mean, we're talking about maybe an NBA all-star level guy, 6'8", 220 pounds. 200 pounds. My apologies, 200 pounds. Louisville staff has visited him multiple times. Actually, he's not 6'8", 200 pounds. He does need to add some weight, which he has a whole nother year of high school basketball, and then going into the first offseason of college ball, he'll get a chance to add some weight. But I think that with his frame, he's going to be able to add over 10 pounds and still be able to maintain that explosiveness and athleticism. So if for whatever reason you end up missing out on Stokes, I think that this would be a guy that you should definitely swing for the fences for. I don't see a situation where you would land both. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just don't see a situation where you would land both. But if you could get any of these guys, I think it is a huge win. This next guy is one that he's not ranked currently. Well, depending on who you ask. Talking to a good friend of the show, Travis Graff, with Made Hoops, recruiting insider and analyst, does a ton for the AAU scene locally here around Louisville and really nationwide. He is pretty adamant that Trey Thompson is going to be a player that just rises up the rankings exponentially. Trey Thompson isn't currently ranked by many of the recruiting sites. Like you look at 24/7 Sports, and he doesn't have a ranking right now. You look at On3 Sports, and I don't think he currently has a ranking at the moment. He does. Well, he's ranked. I'm sorry, he's ranked 132nd nationally. Like he's not a highly ranked guy at the moment at all. But according to Travis, he took an unofficial to Louisville last week. So there is some interest there because Louisville doesn't really just bring guys on campus just for the sake of it. 6'8", 220 pounds. When you watch the film, it's pretty clear as to what there is to like. Can stretch the floor, has a nice jump shot, no mechanical issues. It is a really nice looking form. Can put the ball on the ground and put the ball on the floor and score in the paint. Solid passer for his role. Now, limited sample size from what I've been able to watch, but it's clear as to why people think that he's going to rise up rankings. And if you need any more evidence, let's go back to November. November 13th, Purdue offered. And then Xavier offered. And then Butler offered. And then Virginia Tech offered. And then Tennessee offered. All in the span of a couple days. And then he took an official visit to Purdue. I think that this is a player that Louisville is trying to get in on this recruitment before it blows up this offseason or this summer, because that's when these recruitments really take flight, is that junior year AAU circuit. And if he has a good summer and he rises up rankings, I mean, credit to Pat Kelsey and company for being able to get in that initial group that's recruiting him before his stock raises a ton. So I would like to see the film. I'm sold on. I think Travis Graff is on to something here for Trey. But 6 players, I'm not saying that they prioritize all of them at the same time. These are 6 that at whatever point I would like to see Louisville go after. Could be potential game changers. 5 of them are currently elite level prospects. 1 is a diamond in the rough at the moment, but hey, every player is a diamond in the rough until they are not. So drop in the comments below who you would like to see Louisville pursue in the 2026 class. That's going to wrap up this Wednesday edition of the show. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you right back here tomorrow. Go Cards.